Elderly guardianship is a legal relationship created when a court appoints an individual to care for an elderly person who is no longer able to care for themselves. But why might someone need a guardian? What is the process? And what is a guardian's duties? Kai sat down with attorney John Michelson of Michelson and Associates to scratch the surface of this complicated topic.
First of all, I'd say guardianship is something that should be avoided, if you possibly can. The way you avoid that is plan ahead. You have your life, you have your house, your rental property, your kids. You take the initiative ahead of time to designate powers of attorney, agents that will act for you if you can't act for yourself. That's how you avoid it. But for a lot of people, they haven't had that done, or sometimes their agent they appointed is actually abusing them or stealing their money and so forth. So guardianship can be something that's not good. So a lot of people are aware that we've had scandals in guardianship, particularly a few years ago, things came to a head, and people were misusing guardianship to take over people's estates and steal all their money. A lot of features have been put into place. One of the biggest ones is the right to an attorney. So now anyone who's responding, who's the subject of a guardianship petition, they get their own attorney who's going to fight for their rights and make sure it's fair, and they don't have to pay for it. So it's a court-appointed attorney. You always get that. There's other things now. We have a lot of different judges instead of the same judge, just to mix things up. We have the Guardianship Bill of Rights. There's increased requirements on how you obtain a guardianship. And so guardianship, yeah, in the past there were times it's misused. It is sometimes controversial, but there's other times where it's absolutely needed. For example, exploitation. What do you do if someone is stealing from grandma and everyone knows it? But maybe that person actually got grandma to sign a power of attorney. So in one sense, they're legally authorized to handle grandma's money, but people know that it's being misused. And so guardianship can be a saving function in that case. It gives a chance for a court to review what's going on and to make sure that everything's okay. So it also can be helpful. People that are homeless, they can have an advocate if they have a guardian. And so the number one way to do this is to avoid it by having your own documents in order. But if those documents are not in place or something's going wrong, guardianship court is a way to protect seniors. Public guardian gets appointed many different ways. Another example that I've seen is maybe certain family members have petitioned for guardianship over grandma, but they're fighting over her money. And if it can't get resolved in a way, in a certain amount of time, the judge might say, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to appoint the public guardian because, you know, they may be more neutral in this situation. And so that's another way, is that the family can't get along. Sometimes the family is just unable to step in. Sometimes there is no family there. And so the public guardian is kind of the catch-all. You know, they step in for people who, for one reason or another, the judge feels that they can't appoint someone else. That's one of the benefits that we love to provide at Michelson and Associates, is we can talk to families about alternatives to guardianship. We're all about that. I mean, we don't want to be, no one wants to be imposing a guardianship or paying attorneys or in court if they can avoid it. And so there are a lot of things you can do, powers of attorney, supported decision-making documents. But if none of those remedy the situation, we can talk to you about, you know, if someone is exploiting your grandma or grandpa, what is the evidence that you'll need to bring before a judge? How do you get it? What are some ways that you can get the evaluation done? What can you expect when you get to court? How long does this take? How's it going to get paid for? There's just so many unknowns. Does it last forever? What if grandma and grandpa regain their capacity? What do I do if my family's fighting over grandma and grandpa's money? All of these are things that we can help you walk through and plan for and try to make it the best possible experience and outcome for everyone. Try to do it in a way that benefits the community.